Hello everyone, and we are Team 7. For our project, we conducted 4 open-ended interviews related to OBC500. The point of this project was to learn how team managers lead their teams and to explore how they've grown from their experiences. Each team member conducted their own interview, and after that, we got together to discuss what we learned. We downloaded information from each of our interviews onto one big whiteboard, and we were able to identify themes and common goals of each leader. In the end, we had interviewed 4 people from all different areas. The first person we interviewed was the coach of WPI's track and field and cross-country teams, Coach Chabot. We also interviewed Mr. D, who is the manufacturing process and productivity improvement lead in a global leading pharmaceutical company. His main work is risk analysis and process management. The next interviewee is also a process manager, Clint, who has 25 years experience in the industry. He manages a group of 24 people, including industrial engineers, shift leaders, assemblers, and operators. The last interviewee is Will, who has worked in the Chinese government for more than 10 years. He manages tax service for citizens with his team. He focuses on publishing the latest tax information and policy on the official website and social networks. In order to protect the privacy of some of our interviewees, some of these names are pseudonyms. As we conducted our interviews, we tried to ask broad topics relating to OBC. Our interviewees seem to have 4 main topics for discussion. Teaming, which is the ability to quickly and effectively develop teams for any given project. Planning, the ability of a leader to logistically decide how to manage their team. Communication, being able to share ideas within the team, both between team members and also with management. And failure, how to react to a project that's gone poorly. So we'd like to start off by talking about teaming. All the interviewees mentioned teaming. Engaging the team was really important for Coach Chabot. Within the team, he believes that it's really important to encourage and support each other. Another point about teamwork within his team is that it's important to recognize everyone's characters and ability. When Coach Chabot needs to criticize one of his athletes, he will make it clear that it's about their performance and not about the person. Mr. D and Clint both work for process improvement, and in their team, long-term cooperation experience is the key for good performances in projects, since team members already know a lot about each other, and it makes it easier to communicate. Mr. D also mentioned that being open-minded is an important factor for teamwork. In his team, individuals hold different pieces of information. They should exchange ideas from their different angles, and the outcome of the project will be better. For Will's work, a clear standard of workload for every team member is required for his team. Everyone has his or her own tasks, which are assigned by a software program, not the manager. So finishing the task on time is always the way to keep the team running smoothly. From our interviews, we realized that encouragement, openness, long-term cooperation, and clear standards are the key to lead a team that works together. We find these elements are also covered in our own team charter, and we discussed these at the beginning of the formation of our team to ensure a smooth workflow. Planning. We also would like to dig into how our interviewees schedule the planning for their teams. Coach Chabot mentioned that it is always important to plan in advance. He usually collects training information and designs the training plan for every runner beforehand based on past performances, both those successful and those that are not so successful. And on top of the training plan, he said his big role in the team was planning how the season would work logistically, determining which meets they go to, how they'll travel, where their practices will be, etc. For Mr. D, planning a job in the project will take much longer than Coach Chabot. Usually, a new drug approved by the FDA will take 7 to 10 years, and it will take about 3 to 4 phases. So the planning of the risk and process management of a drug like this will continue to occur during the whole journey of the drug approval. The team would plan the risk management project together before every phase of the drug test. In most cases, for Clint's projects, the project team should receive proper training and arrange the meetings with the whole team to introduce project goals and expectations before the project even started. It shows Clint had a clear understanding of planning before he started his projects. In Will's team, roles will be assigned at the beginning of every month for the staff. Differently, however, members of his team need to plan for themselves on finishing individual work goals. We see from our interviewees both for teams and individuals, that planning beforehand is absolutely necessary. In our teamwork, we also utilized planning techniques to help the project, such as developing a mind map to determine exactly how the ideas we came up with are going to fit together. This helps us brainstorm and generate more creative thinking. The third topic that we realized our interviewees were harping on was communication. Communication is definitely important to every single one of our interviewees. For Coach Chabot, he mentioned that communication along the season can provide him a great opportunity to tweak the workouts throughout the season and also into the next season, and to modify the training plan to better accommodate the athletes. He also hopes the problems can be found earlier in the season through conversations with each of the individual athletes. Communication is also key for Mr. D to lead the project to success. He usually hosts one-on-one meetings and workshops in order to collect the thoughts from every team member to make sure everyone is on the same page. Besides, critical decisions are made by the whole team, so the entire team needs to discuss the different elements of the project in order to reach an agreement. For Clint, a process manager, the general meeting is a way for him to introduce the project plan and assign roles and tasks to his team. Team members also provide feedbacks in daily meetings and weekly reports. Different from the previous cases, however, since the team members led by Will work independently and don't rely on most others in the case, they communicate by daily journals and monthly summary reports. So while there's still that aspect of communication, it's not necessarily as strong as the other three of our interviewees. But based on our observations, communication is fundamental for managers to identify problems, engage their teams, and generate agreements within their organizations. The last topic that our interviewees discussed was failure. Failure happens frequently and individuals face it differently. Coach Chabot will try to find the root cause of the failure by evaluating athletes' lives and what he has done as a coach. Some reasons are unavoidable and some are not. He takes the feedbacks in a season and hosts a sit-down meeting at the end of every season in order to talk about the things that can be improved to avoid failure in the future. Nobody likes failure, and mentioned by Mr. D, in current society, failure is very common, especially in the pharmaceutical business, and people can't always control whether the drug works for patients or not. So he tries his best to accept the result and have a good risk management system in place to prevent failure. Clint sees failure in a very positive way. He takes it as a chance for him to learn things and devote more to his job. Will sees failure in the same way. He always takes responsibility for mistakes in his team, and he always tries to find the reason behind the bad result so he can learn a lesson for the next time. Failure is sometimes unavoidable, so you cannot be scared of it, and it's important to use failure to learn and grow and avoid future failures. From these four main themes, we have identified areas of importance for leaders we interviewed. It was interesting to see how they all seemed to talk about similar things when they came from such different backgrounds. We found this project extremely rewarding. Thank you all so much for watching.